Torey Zwanzig, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Your company is called Soul Haven?
Yes.
Where did that name come from?
Yeah, I came up with it about 10 years ago. It started as an online vintage business, and I thought it would encapsulate other future creative business ideas I would have if that changed. So I've always had a love for interior design, and it's really all in the name. I just thought creating like a haven, where you can just sit down and take a deep breath for your soul was kind of the idea behind that.
Is that part of your process with every client that you have? Is obviously understanding your client's important in any business, but with interior design, it's such a personal step.
Yes.
And you're the one curating all of the materials and all of the colors and everything. So what's your process for getting to know a client so you can accurately gauge what the space is going to look like?
Yeah, I think first it's actually getting in the physical space and then just asking a lot of questions of like what they're interested in, what are the things that they do love about the space that they currently have. And sometimes if a client can't point to one specific item, I might say, what about an outfit that you love? Or it could be inspiration from anything. I'm really just trying to get a feel for what inspires, and I can pull inspiration from anything. It could be a decade. It could be really anything, colors they like. I'm just trying to find that kind of launching off point.
Do you feel like a primary part of your job is kind of like a therapy session to understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It really is.
It's like a therapist trying to get to understand their client. Uh-huh. I could totally see, because the part of this process here in this room was trying to have you, I think men in general, we don't have as in-depth of feelings as to what we like and what we don't like, but we know it when we see it. Mm-hmm. So having somebody assume things and then say, I think you're really good at showing me a certain picture of things and saying, I like this, I don't like this. Yeah. And then just kind of by deducing certain things from those conversations just came naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It could be one thing that I've pulled from our conversation that I think you like, and I will then just keep narrowing it down further, the details to really refine. And before I would do an install or start buying things, it's continually refining the vision so it's really clear and I can make sure the client loves it.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you were reviewing and when we were having conversations about this room, like what's one thing you can point to, or one area you can point to and say like there was a specific conversation that came about that led you to think this?
I would say the gallery wall was the most of me trying to fine tune more specifics. Like I knew that you loved Americana, and I wanted to pair it with your branding, the Tiger brand, the Tiger stripes. So yeah, personal, like I knew you wanted to incorporate, it's a family business and your friends. And so yeah, it was an intermixing kind of photos of your family and friends and your life with the Americana vibe you love and the tattoo culture. And then more specifically, I was like, okay, well, with Americana, do you like baseball, basketball? Is it more Western, sailor? Like there's just lots of little subcategories. Yes. So it was talking through that. And I just loved putting together that wall.
Yes. I think the specific frame reference that I used was short shorts basketball 1950s.
Yes,
which you actually pulled a picture of that. Yes, but that whole idea, like I feel like that's. Have you ever seen the movie Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox?
Yes,
Remember
I have.
That where he turned into the wolf and played basketball? Like that. That's the '80s era, but short shorts. I feel like that just gives a glimpse into what life used to be 70 years ago in this country.
Yeah,
and I'm just a fan of relics of the past. Of I don't know, respecting what people did back in the day that was cool. Because those things aren't necessarily cool now, but that was cool back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It brings in a certain vibrancy and I don't know, just classic nature to stuff that's never going to die.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of styles come and go, but I feel like classic traditional stuff doesn't.
Right. I think in every decade, even probably in the one we're in now, you can pull something out of it that's timeless. And I love pulling things together from every decade. But if it's something from the 70s that's still in style today, then it won't go out of style, in the future.
It'll just come back in a different form.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true of design and true of a lot of things. That a lot of really popular designs I've heard now that kids are starting to wear early 2000s. And this is what the era that I grew up in, like the popped collar era, or some of the certain things that they do is coming back.
Yeah.
And it's like a shock to hear that, because you thought some of those things died when they died.
I know. Yeah, it can be hard to know the difference between a trend and then just something that's like a timeless, that will never go out.
Right.
And yeah, I will incorporate some trendiness into designs because it's fun and fresh, but overall I'm trying to find things that are just never going to go out. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Tattoos are very much the same way, because tattoos are very trendy. Things pop up that are really popular, like tribal designs 25 years ago were super popular. Now nobody does tribal anymore.
Right.
Or like realistic stuff. As your skin starts to change and to get wrinkly and get loose, the face might start to get deformed. And so there's only certain parts of the body you want to do portraits on versus not, right? And so there's a lot of different kind of, like, from what I've learned of tattoos, since I've had 15 sessions over my life, of just like trusting the tattoo artist with what they know of the body and how to put ink in it. In the same way that in interior design, trusting you that you know what you're doing with a space. When we first started this, I was a bit nervous.
Yeah, it was scary.
As a blank canvas, you had painted this wall blue. We had this board up that was curved and it wasn't finished. And I was like, oh my gosh, in those moments, I've just learned to trust the professional, because at the end of the day, it will look amazing. You just have to really give them the faith.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like that's the same pattern for every client you work with?
It depends on how involved I am in the project, but especially when it's like a hands-on custom thing or a remodel, it always looks ugly and scary first before it gets good. So yeah, there is a bit of talking through of like, no, I'm confident in this vision. Just got to see it through. Just trust me. And I felt like you were, you seemed pretty confident in the vision, but I was like, I know this is looking a little scary right now. When I was, plastering the leaves and the spray painting, it was hard to see, but I felt confident in my mind of how it was going to come together.
That's a very visionary type statement. Have you ever heard of EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System? Okay. There's basically five categories of people and businesses, and one of them is called a visionary. And visionaries see things in their head that they can't necessarily describe to other people or have them understand, but they know it's the right path.
Yeah.
I consider myself a visionary. So when I first started wrapping trucks in tiger stripes, people I think were like, what the heck are we doing? Now, 4 years later, I can look back and say I was confident and it worked out. In your line of business, I'm sure a lot of your work is through just your eyes and your thought process.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And I recently heard something along the lines of there's some people who can't visually see anything in their mind as they're reading or thinking thoughts. And I have a very visual mind. So that definitely, I think, plays into interior design and feeling confident when I can see it all in the space in my mind's eye. So
speak to the room that you created in here and the vibe and the general aesthetic. Like, what's one of your favorite things that you, maybe at the beginning when we were first having these conversations and it was kind of just a blank canvas and we were really unsure of what to do, but now looking back that it's completed, what's one thing you can look back at and say, like, I'm really proud of how this developed?
Yeah. I would say this wall here was much more involved. This was like a 2-day process. Like, as much as I love the gallery wall and how all those photos come together, some unlikely things that come together, this was just more of a labor of love. Like, I think originally I just wanted to challenge myself to come up with something that was going to be really impactful and fresh. Like, I've never worked with like backlighting things before. So I was excited to try that. And yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. I think it stands out on camera really well. And I got to use a new saw. I like hand sawed out all those letters in wood and figured out that tool. And it was tricky at first, but I was like, I did it. I'm happy with it.
That's one thing I'm very particular of is the fonts that we use. This is a font called Nevis. And when I found it, I know exactly what R that is.
Yeah.
The kick out of the R. Sounds probably silly to somebody watching this, but I can tell exactly what my font is by the letters that were used. And when somebody even uses a similar font, but it's not exactly the same, I can spot it from a mile away. To the naked eye, to somebody that's not in the brand. But that's something that I've become very proud of, is like brand elements that are represented over any medium. You can look at it and within 5 seconds know that's Roof Tiger,
yes,
or that's Solar Panther. And so I think that just comes with the territory of building a business. Maybe it's the same way with Soul Haven. Just certain things that you're very particular over to make sure that the vibe and the aesthetic stays the same.
Yes. Yes. And for me, it's a little different because the aesthetic changes client to client, but I would say with my branding, it's more in, just the way I layer things together and put things together. And my process maybe is more of my branding.
Yes. It's the personality of the person yourself putting these things together.
Yeah.
If you were to speak to somebody out there who's watching this and they said, I want to create I don't even know what I want yet. Maybe somebody's not as creative as what you are. And they're thinking to themselves, I'd love to hire Torey and just have her come into my house. What would you say to that person to give them confidence that you're the person for that job?
Let's see. I mean, yeah, I just feel confident in really establishing someone's style and bringing forth the things that they love. And I don't settle on, I kind of like that. Like with every item in someone's house, I want them to absolutely love it. And so I think it's just a matter of continually asking questions, talking through things, giving options. My process, I don't like to like just enforce my own vision. There's lots of beautiful things, but my biggest goal is that the client really loves it. So I'll just continually ask and give options until they love it.
I think one of the best things of working with you, Torey, was I never felt bad about giving you feedback.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when I've worked with, I have a bunch of different vendors I've worked with over the years. Sometimes you feel like they have the reins, they know what they're doing. And even if I don't like it, I like it 75%, maybe not 25%. I feel bad about giving that feedback. I felt like you created a very comfortable atmosphere where I could tell you the truth and you would take that and change it and actually come up with a better solution.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of how good your business is because I never felt like I was stepping on your toes to tell you what I actually felt.
Good. Yeah. And I just view it as part of the process. It's like solving a mystery of like, okay, what is your style combination of things you love? And then once we solve that and figure it out, that's it's gonna all pull together in a unique way that expresses you. So, I just view that as part of the process of asking questions. Do you like this? Okay, well, if you don't like that, well, then there's a million other ideas we can go with until we nail it down. So it doesn't really feel personal. It's just trying to figure out, what is it that hits you, that you love. Yeah.
There's a total balance between working with somebody in the design space because that person is actually creating the thing. They're doing the actual hard labor of creating it. So you don't want to impede their progress or tell them something you don't like and offend them.
Yeah.
So you have to be, there's a total balance, but also I think you did a really good job of making sure that I felt like I had the reins, but you're just making sure that creation came to life. But you're actually one building the thing.
Yeah.
I felt like we captured that in this room, that this creation of yours is going to stick with this office and this company for a long time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was honored to be a part of it.
Good.
And bring it to life.
I heard somebody say years ago, they told me, instead of investing into vacations every few months or spending a whole bunch of money to go to these beautiful places, why not invest the money back into your own home where when you walk in, you feel like you're on vacation when you get home.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
Do you sense that you are giving people that satisfaction when you work with them?
I do. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's all part of the process for me on the front end is being really confident, make sure the client's confident that I am capturing that, so that when I am putting forth the work to install or source the items that the rest is just putting the vision to life that I know that we're on the same page about.
It's like the actual building process is the easiest part, but the design on the front end really becomes the hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any roofing companies out there that are watching this, I've had many of them already text me or message me on Facebook and say, wow, this is so incredible. What's one thing you'd say to a roofing business owner that might be in this network that might want to create a space similar?
Yeah.
What would you say to that person that might be interested in your business?
I'd say, great. Let's talk about your brand and your vision for your company. And just, I also try to make sure I'm not repeating. So I don't think I would bring anything I did here. Maybe some elements. Maybe they're like, I like how you, had this logo stand out, but I would do it in a completely different kind of way. So I think I can pull some of the basic principles, but it's got to look totally different.
It's got to feel like they own it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's got to be their thing.
Businesses, especially family businesses like my own, we're very proud of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies, I don't know, 97.8% of them are named after the last name of the owner.
Yeah.
In the construction space. It's Jones Roofing or whatever the case. So it's a very personal thing to put your name on something. Mm-hmm. And so when we have to, you don't want to copy Roof Tiger because this is mine.
Right.
But Jones Roofing in Cleveland, Ohio, might have a specific brand statement that they want to bring to life.
Right, exactly.
And so you're really trying to just capture every company's personality and bring it to life in a space.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it translates from, because, I've done a lot of work in retail. And so thinking about their specific branding, it all translates to, a roofing company, a business, or residential home. It's like, what's your personal aesthetic, style, branding, all of it.
Yes. Yeah. Brand is a very popular topic right now in the roofing industry. Yeah, you probably, you don't know this unless you're in it, but brand has been a talking point of mine for the past 4 years, and it's becoming something that's becoming more and more popular because so many roofing companies look similar and they're not standing out in the public.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine it's the same for retail shops that are trying to produce a simple emotion when you walk in the door. Mm-hmm. Coffee shops, I'm sure, are a good example of this as well.
Right.
What are you trying to communicate through what you put in your space?
Right.
So
exactly.
It's not an overt, like, I have to tell you what it is. It's a feeling, emotion that you actually emulate through a space.
Right.
So do you feel like you're trying to pull certain emotions out of the room when you design a space?
Yeah. And I'm more so not only trying to gain what inspires someone, but I'm also like asking questions of what do you want to feel in this room? Do you want to feel relaxed, high energy? We're talking a lot about the emotions you want to feel in the atmosphere. Yep.
Can you think back to a design project you did in the past that kind of opened your eyes to maybe this company as it stands now, or something that you did that kind of like your light bulb came on that says, I'm really good at this? Can you think back to a time in your life where that happened?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I think just my experience early on working in retail, I had a lot of creative freedom, which allowed me to, just do out of the box things. And it just felt easy, like an outflow of just how I've been made. To just create, to space plan, all of that. So I would say like early on in retail, I didn't own the business, but that was just a really special experience, just having the freedom to try different things. And I felt like, I'm meant to do this. I love it. And it just feels easy, and I'm very passionate about it. So, the fact that I enjoy it so much, it makes it easier.
Makes it easier. There was a quote by Steve Jobs back in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, where he said, when you grow as an adult, you find out that everything built in the world was done by somebody no smarter than you. I heard that quote when I was like 18 or 19 years old, and it gave me a lot of confidence, because when you drive into the city of Chicago, and you see the buildings, you see the architecture, and you even go to Anthropologie or a retail store and you see what's built, you think, man, these people were so much smarter and more talented than I was to do these things. And I think as we grow as business owners and adults, you start to realize you can really make a mark in in the world.
Yeah.
And that creative outflow that God gives us to be the person we were made to be, that comes really naturally.
Yes.
If you're in the right industry.
Yes. Yeah. And I think figuring out what that is, it just, for me, it's like, well, what are you passionate about? And that's likely where it's at, where you're going to find it.
That's what I was telling our fourth graders. Torey and I have, we share, our kids are in the same classroom at school. And I was telling them, if there's something in your life that comes natural to you that you genuinely love, you could turn that into a business potentially and actually really love what you do. And that's a very cliche statement to find something you do so you don't work a day in your life. It's all work.
Yeah.
But it does make it feel less arduous to have something you can go back to say, I feel like I have a natural gift here.
Yes, absolutely.
That's how you feel in the interior design space, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is. Yep.
When you were a child, did you feel like you always made your room into something or designed things in your local space? Yeah.
Always. Yeah. I was always moving furniture around. At a really young age, my mom would be like, that is way too heavy for you. And I'd be like scooting couches around the living room. But yeah, I just always have. I would even go into stores and arrange things like on the shelves and merchandise. Like, yeah, it's wired in me. And yeah, I'm so thankful that I've been able to make a business of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt the same way. I've always long loved to see a before and after picture of what it started with and what it's after. And there's a certain phase of, similar to interior design versus roofing, where there's a demolition, there's planning, there's construction, and there's finishing. It's kind of like these four like, it happens every single project.
Yeah.
And I long love to see the before and after.
Yes.
But we're in the business of the in-between as well. And so as we grow in our skill set to manage the in-between, the communication between us and the customer and everything that happens, generally speaking, there's a freak out period at some point in between where somebody says, hair's on fire. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm really scared. There's nails in my yard, right?
Yes.
And so, but as you do hundreds and hundreds or however many projects that you do, you start to get really calm in those moments because you've seen it through a couple hundred times. And it's like, I know where this is going. The vision remains the same. Be patient.
Yeah. Yes. Just wait and be patient. And yeah, it's true. You just got to see it through.
See it through. And choosing the partners to actually align yourself with in business is really important. Because if those people understand the same things, you can fight through those difficult periods together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I can't say I'm there yet. I hope, and that's partly why I actually didn't name my business after my own name. I named it Soul Haven Interiors. Because I thought it'd be so cool to eventually partner with somebody. But I think that makes business more enjoyable when you're doing it with your friends, or somebody that also has that same passion. So I'm kind of out on my own right now in the in-between times. But yeah, I think with each experience, you just fine-tuning for the next one. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So who would you want to partner with? Let's just put it out there that if somebody were watching this and they said, that's me, what kind of people are you looking to partner with that would be right for you?
Yeah. I think it could be two types of roles. Maybe somebody that was taking care of more of like the business side of things. I'm kind of looking into expanding into having like a contract because I literally do everything. Like I'm like, I'll figure out how to do it or I'm very hands-on. And when it comes to building and installing and that type of stuff. So I'm kind of like, I think I just want to focus more on the design part specifically and sourcing and putting it all together, but just not spreading myself so thin on projects. I think I'd love to have like people that could do the contracting aspect of things. and when I say contracting, I mean like hanging and installing things for me. Because I've always worked with like for plumbing and that kind of stuff. Like I don't do that level, but or someone that would do more of the business side of things. And even in design, I would definitely be open to partnering with other interior designers if we had a similar aesthetic, which can be hard to find.
Sure.
But we're kind of on brand together in that. Yeah.
It's a tough thing for interior designers. I've been in construction for almost a decade now, and we are actually the ones with the responsibility to design the space most of the time. I used to do interiors with bathroom and kitchen remodel. And so it's really tough when you don't have that experience to know what goes well with each other. You're kind of just guessing.
Yeah.
And you're just really relying on the customer to say things.
Right.
Which a lot of times customers don't know.
Right.
Customers want to be led that this is what I think would be good for your space.
Yes.
Most of the time.
Yes.
Because this is the first time I've been doing this project, maybe ever.
Right.
So they're nervous about spending tens of thousands of dollars on something.
It's really incredibly overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. What knobs do you use? What cabinetry? What flooring? It's all these things tied together, and it's many decisions.
Right.
And so interior designers have a lot of responsibility, but also a lot of push with the contractor that's very valuable.
Right.
Have you ever thought about partnering with real estate agents in that same way?
I have thought about that. Yeah, I guess industry-wise, partnering with other industries. Yeah, I've thought about like staging, realty, or just construction companies. I think my business would pair well with.
Fantastic. Yeah. I'm going to put you in touch with some people.
Okay.
And
wonderful.
We'll see where that goes.
Okay, cool.
We would talk for longer, and we'll talk more soon.
Yeah.
We've got to get you out of here. We went 5 minutes past.
That's all right. It was fun.
Torey Zwanzig, Soul Haven Interiors. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah.